So we're gonna do today, we're gonna talk about the brand new thriller No Exit, released exclusively in Hulu and here in the UK on Disney+. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna talk about positive stuff, negative stuff, things that will improve, and also we're gonna talk stuff about like characters, storyline, the cinematography, and that includes like the way the movie is shot, color palettes, audiography, soundtracks, acting, and at the end I'm gonna give my grade. I'm gonna say if I recommend it or not, and also I wanna say if this movie is different in the genre. And this movie is more like a thriller than horror, but it has some horror elements. But I also wanna say if the movie stands out. So stay tuned and let's get into the video. On the way home to Utah to see her sick mother, college student Darby Thorne is stranded by a blizzard at a highway rest stop in the Colorado Rockies. With roads impossible to cross, she is forced to wait out the storm at a remote highway cabin with different people, without knowing that this time at the cabin will bring out many different kind of secrets. So the first positive thing is that it's the storyline. I think the storyline was so simple, but it was so effective. I think the way the movie told the story was so good. The movie starts quite slow, I'm not gonna lie, but as soon as the movie picks up, the movie will not stop and your eyes will not leave the screen, and I really love that, because sometimes with thrillers they can feel so slow burn and they can be so boring, but with this movie you will not feel bored at all. You will always have your eyes captured on the screen. The second positive stuff is the acting. I think the acting was beautiful, and I will say it again, I think this movie is saved because of the acting, because I think with a bad acting this movie will have been so long. I think the acting was phenomenal from everyone, especially from our lead, and her name is Havana Rose Liu and she plays Darby. I think her character was phenomenal. I love how they gave this character backstory, and this backstory actually makes sense into the storyline. I'm not gonna give too much spoilers, but there is one scene like at the final act where her acting is amazing. Her screams were so good, they were so loud, like the way she communicated with her body language and with her facial expressions, because sometimes she didn't talk, but her facial expressions and body language talked for her. And the rest of the actors, Danny Ramirez, Dennis Haysbert, David, Dale, Mila, I think all of them, they do a fantastic job. I think they have such a good chemistry, they knew how to work together. Again, I'm not gonna give too much spoilers, but when many plots come, they know how to work with them. I think you can feel they had fun doing this movie. Another positive thing from this movie is the dialogue. I think the dialogue was so good. I think it was not cringy at all, especially from our lead. Her lines were so good, they made so much sense, and her, obviously, like I said before, her backstory is actually like touchful. The dialogue between the characters in this cabin was not cringy at all. They felt like real humans. They felt like this is a conversation that normal people will have. It felt real, it didn't feel cliche, it didn't feel cringy, and I really appreciate when movies do that. Another positive aspect, and we're gonna talk more about that in the cinematography era, is the setting. The setting of this movie was beautiful. I'm a sucker of cold winter movies. This movie takes place in the snow and winter times, and I absolutely love that. Like, you feel these characters are cold, you feel that wherever they are it's like minus 200, and I just love the whole setting. And that brings me to another point, which is the soundtrack, which is like the sounds, the audiography, and we're gonna talk more about that in that part of the video. Another positive aspect is the length of this movie. This movie is just an hour and 30 minutes, and I have to say that this movie doesn't feel like that. Yes, the beginning can be quite slow, but at the same time it's the start of the movie, and it's the way they're introducing our lead, and it makes sense why these events are happening. Like, it makes sense why this character is in that cabin. It's not just randomly went to that cabin, it makes sense and it felt real. Now, when it comes to the negative parts of this film, and the first thing that I have to say is just some shots, they felt quite plain, like they felt like they didn't have any editing and post-production work, so they felt like too bright, or like without some colors. So I didn't like that too much, but that's like 2 shots maybe in the film. Another negative aspect from the film, some scenes they felt quite long, For example, there is one scene where the characters are playing games, and this is scene kind of drugged, and not in a good way. And yeah, this movie doesn't have too much negative stuff to talk about, so that's good. So let's go to the cinematography part. And now I have to say that I love the movie. I love the way the movie worked with its landscape. I think they really knew how to talk like between shots, the difference between the two landscapes, which is the cabin and the nature outside, like with the snow and the cold and the winter time. I loved how they did that. I think different shots between those two locations, they make you feel the difference, the different danger between them. Another thing that I loved from the cinematography is the close-ups, the close shots, especially the close shots to our lead, because like I said before, she talks with her body and with her facial expressions, and when the camera did the zoom to her face, I really liked that work between that character and the camera work. And also I love the post-production, especially in the night shots. This movie takes place mostly during nighttime, and even if it's dark, like the post-production work, especially the color edition, there's no like shines, and the blood obviously shines. Now let's talk about the audiography, which is one of my favorite parts in every film. And I have to say that this film has a beautiful soundtrack and a beautiful like audiography work. I think the sounds of this film are so good, especially when the characters are outside, because you feel the snow steps, you feel if they're in the forest. When the character opens a car, the screams are so loud, and when the characters are in the cabin, you feel the steps in the floor, in the wood floor. There is one scene where there is like kind of physical horror, like body horror, and obviously it's not too much on your face, but the scene stays and what's happening, and you can feel whatever is happening in her body. You can feel that. And now finally, to conclude this video, I will 100% recommend this movie. I think this movie was so good. I think this movie will entertain you, and I don't think you will feel bored watching this movie. And my final grade is 3.5 stars out of 5, which is great. I didn't give 4 or 5 because obviously the story doesn't stop being simple. So that was it. That was my review for No Exit. I wish I could talk more about, especially with the spoilers, I wish I could talk about the plot twist, but obviously I'm not gonna do that because this movie is quite brand new. So I really hope you enjoyed this review. Let me know in the comment section below, and I hope you have a nice end of the week, have a nice end of the day, and I will see you soon on the next video. Bye bye.